there, Stephen Bianco. Well, the first word that I can tell you here is shocked. Everybody here, and I mean every single person here, shocked that this verdict came down today. Nobody was anticipating this at all. In fact, I had spoken with a judge earlier today who was not connected to this case, but who has been covering it following it very, very closely. And he was telling me that he felt encouraged by the fact that the jury had not reached a verdict yet. And he was also encouraged by the fact that the jury had asked the judge to read back 30 pages of his 55-page instruction to the jury, which he did yesterday, the 55 pages. They asked him today to read back 30 of those pages so they could get more clarity on how to apply the law properly to the charges and the evidence against Donald Trump. And the judge was telling me, he said that signal to him, as somebody who is an experienced judge, that it was telling him that this jury was serious about what they were doing, that they wanted to get this job right. They wanted to make sure that they went over this evidence with a fine-tooth comb. And he had expected that the jury would end up reaching a verdict at the very earliest by tomorrow, probably not even until next week. And there were multiple lawyers not associated with this case who told me the exact same thing. So this is a big stunner to everybody. In fact, they have only deliberated for about 8.5 hours. They started the deliberations yesterday. It was 4.5 hours. They came back today. They started deliberating this morning about 11:15. They deliberated for about 2 hours. Then they went to lunch at 1 o'clock from 1 until about 2:15. And then they resumed deliberations after that, again, for a total of about 8.5 hours. Now, one of the things that they did this morning before they started deliberating at 11:15, once again asking the judge to reread his instructions to the jury, which he did, again, 30 pages. They had also asked to have some of the testimony from Michael Cohen and from David Pecker reread to the jury. So court reporters did reread some of their testimony. That testimony dated back to a meeting between Trump, David Pecker, who is the former with the National Enquirer. He used to head the National Enquirer. Between Pecker, Cohen, and Donald Trump, that was in Trump Tower in August of 2015. And in that meeting, David Pecker had, quote, said, quote, "I will be the eyes and ears for the Trump campaign." And what he was doing there is he was promising Trump and Michael Cohen that he would find, if he heard of any negative stories about Trump, he would kill them, and that he would also promote positive stories about Trump in the National Enquirer. Now, two of those stories related, one of them to Stormy Daniels, the porn actress, as well as Karen McDougal, the former Playboy model. Now, again, 8.5 hours of jury deliberations today. Now, I'm taking a look here because one of my colleagues, Morgan McKay, has been inside the court pretty much every day for this hush money trial. And she sent out some notes, and she was saying that a note was handed down to the judge at about 4:20, because originally about 10 after 4, everybody thought that the jury was going to be excused at 4:30. That was the word that we were given. That did not happen because it was just a few minutes later, about 10, 15 minutes later, that apparently the judge was handed a note. And then Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, leaned over to him and was whispering to Trump. And then at that point, there were audible gasps in the courtroom when the verdict was announced. Again, because nobody had anticipated this. She says that Trump was, of course, sitting at the defense table. His arms were crossed in front of him. You know, when you sit, you have your arms crossed. And that around 10:05, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg entered the courtroom. So he is in the courtroom now. So there is a verdict. When that verdict is going to be read, we're not sure. That could be read in the next 10 minutes, 20 minutes. We are not sure. Usually once they say that a verdict has been reached, they usually end up announcing what that verdict is within about 30 minutes. They need everybody that's involved with the case, all the pertinent players, to be in the courtroom at the time of that reading. So that could happen at any moment. But this is one of those cases where this is history making. And again, there was a lot of pressure on this jury, I'm sure, for all of them to get this right, because this is now the first president who has not only been indicted in a criminal trial, he has sat at a defense table at a criminal trial, and he is about to hear the verdict in his criminal trial. Now, in the event that he would be found guilty, there would not be a sentencing at this point because his attorneys would likely appeal. So there would not be a sentencing. In addition to that, it will be the judge who imposes the sentencing, Judge Juan Merchan. Do you guys have any questions for me at this point?
All right, that was very, very interesting, as we're now getting breaking news in here to our newsroom, talking about all the latest, as we are now learning that the former president has been found guilty on all counts there in this hush money trial.